And new details in a Fox Carolina investigation. We learned an anonymous letter led the Oconee County Sheriff's Office to reopen the investigation into an Upstate fire chief.
And we've acquired Sheriff's Office reports, 911 calls, and court documents that detail how the Townville fire chief chased two teens and ordered them to the ground at gunpoint after they turned around in his driveway. Fox Carolina's Grace Franco has been following this very closely for us. And Grace, you're joining us now in studio. What can we expect as it comes to charges now in this case?
Well, it's not clear whether or not there will be any charges filed. There weren't any when the incident happened last August, but we've just found out the Oconee County Sheriff is taking a second look at the case after an anonymous letter questioned those initial results.
Hey, Chief.
Hang tight. I'll be back with you. You hear me?
Do you have a gun on him?
Oh, I did, but it's off of him now.
And that's Townville Fire Chief Billy McAdams you just heard talking with the Anderson County Fire Dispatch in August 2022. According to law enforcement and court documents, at the time, McAdams and his son had just blocked in two teenagers who had turned around in his driveway. McAdams can be heard on the call ordering the teens out of their truck and to the ground. McAdams says in the audio you just heard and in court documents that he had his gun pointed at the teens. After the incident, the Oconee County Sheriff's Office considered charging McAdams with pointing and presenting a firearm at a person. According to the incident report, a judge told investigators there was enough probable cause to issue a warrant, but added they would have to issue charges for the teens too. After not being able to contact the teens' parents, the case was closed. We reached back out to the sheriff's office, and a spokesperson told us Sheriff Mike Crenshaw felt as if there needed to be further investigation in order to clarify some of the evidence and information to further explore whether criminal charges should be brought. He added there's no statute of limitations that applies in this case. Now, we asked why charges for the teens were discussed between the judge and the investigator. The spokesperson says he's not sure why in this specific case, but says it is pretty standard for law enforcement to discuss possible charges for all parties involved. He also said when minors are involved, sometimes they need parental permission to proceed with any charges. We've reached out to the attorneys for those families. They have not responded. Grace Runkle, Fox Carolina News.